Right here. We're here.
Oh my god.
Okay, so welcome to episode 40.
We're 40 episodes in Beyond the Ropes. I'm Ethan.
I'm Rob.
Am I on Periscope? I'm not on Periscope. You're on Periscope.
Okay. Let's see. The binder. That's what the binder's for right here. Move
Already
the angle.
having technical difficulties on episode 40. A big episode for us. I was about to say I'm not on the video, but yes I am. Oh my god. It's been already a long day. It's only 10:55 here in on WPMD radio when we're recording this. You could check us out on Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. You can check us out. That's how you also find us on YouTube. Search up Beyond the Ropes. You can check us out right now. We are currently on YouNow. Search up hashtag ask_questions, correct?
Yes.
And on Periscope, you can look up Norwalk, the city of Norwalk, California, and you'll find us there. You can also find us on Rob's SoundCloud. Search up Rob Flores, right?
Yeah. I like how every time you say a new person is watching.
Awesome, we got viewers here. And of course, we are on WPMD radio for the next couple of weeks left. We are on Monday.
Graduation so close.
Yeah, Mondays and Wednesdays, 5 to 6 p.m. We are nearing the end of our time on this radio station, and I mean, as we mentioned on Monday, we'll keep the Facebook account alive and well and going for as much as we can, and we'll figure some stuff out. We said, I believe last episode, that we were going to try and bring back some old things too. Maybe do some commentary one of these episodes.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Question is, what kind of match?
I have some ideas. We'll talk about it after the show, so we can bring it possibly for the next episode if we can. We'll see what we can do. But today is Wednesday. It is our recap episode.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should follow up with Xpac.
You're right. We should get into that first because that's a pretty big story. And again, if we're trying new things if we're bringing back old things on, Monday, we might not have a whole lot of time. So let's just get into the Xpac talk. So let's start from the beginning. Over the weekend, I believe it was Saturday, a British or UK promotion, currently not loading up for some reason. Our Wi-Fi is not.
That's a good thing. Yesterday they re-clarified that there was one story that was false.
Oh, there was? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to start with the missing kind of part. A UK promotion that was supposed to have Xpac appear, Sean Waltman, in a 6-man tag team match. It was supposed to be his last appearance in the United Kingdom as far as wrestling goes. However, he kind of just disappeared. No one had heard from him at the time.
Oh,
and for about 24 hours, finally it was Sunday evening in which it was revealed that someone, like I believe co-hosts his podcast or radio show or something, had talked to him and said that he was doing just fine, as well as Kevin Nash also made a tweet on, I believe it was either Monday or yesterday, but also said that he had talked to Sean Waltman
How come there's no light?
and said he was doing just fine. The light is not on, right? Yeah, we're supposed to be on the air and there's no light on, so more technical difficulties. Not our fault this time. It's not our fault. No. Anyways, essentially, they found Xpac. They found Sean Waltman, but they've also found out that Sean got into a little trouble with the law at the LAX airport. So I'm trying to search up here.
Yeah, because the false article was that he had weed with him.
Okay, so that was a false article.
Yeah.
But there was another drug that he had with him.
Oh, yeah.
That was... Okay, so I'm going to read this article. If I can connect. This Wi-Fi is a little shady today. It's not connecting here. I'll have to use my own
Some
data here.
medicine.
Yes, so to say the least... Okay, well, I can't connect right now, unfortunately. But to say the least... Police, there was a police dog that sniffed up Sean Waltman's bag and found some meth in the bag, and there was a certain amount. It was more It seemed like he was possibly going to do a deal. They found a lot of cash with him, which is not good.
That's a different one then.
Okay, no, but from my report that I see, is they did find meth, obviously drugs, and of course they found like about $700 in cash, a random amount of cash, and then they also found kind of prescription pills or something that are supposedly his, but they were for a trip that was only supposed to last a couple of days, I believe. He had more than what he was supposed to, I guess. He had like a bunch, so essentially the assumption was that he was gonna sell it.
I think there was I don't know if it was a post directly from him, but from what I read, he I think he said yeast.
What happened?
Yeast.
Yeast?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. Oh, here, let me see if I can find it, because I did kind of read a statement. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, something about that. He did point out that yes, he has had a history in the past about meth and stuff.
That's right.
He was the biggest meth head, but
he said he said that he's clean. He has not relapsed, which, I mean, it's possible that he hasn't. I'm not gonna assume anything. We shouldn't assume anything. But the amount that he had is questionable as far as if he was gonna try and sell it and deal over in the UK to who knows what. Let's see.
I mean, what was the last time he was on television? Was it the Hall of Fame?
The last time he was on WWE television, or just any television?
Or both.
Okay, well, it was probably with the WWE. I would say probably Hall of Fame last year. They might have showed him in like maybe a random video in the WWE Network, like he's probably been backstage and stuff. Okay, well, I have Sean Waltman's tweets from 21 hours ago. You mentioned it. So this is let's see. Okay, here. I'm gonna do the first one, which was a day ago. I've had a crazy weekend. I'll get into it on the show Wednesday, which is today. So his talk show today. Way too much to tweet about. Still mentally strong and healthy. No relapse. So he said that there was no relapse. This is also what he tweeted 21 hours ago. You mentioned the yeast. He said, "We'll have to wait for the lab results to come back on my yeast cleanse capsules." So that's apparently what he had, or that's what he's saying he had. "In the meantime, I understand people's reason for doubt." Obviously, Sean Waltman has a history with drugs and alcohol kind of abuse. He also tweeted that there will also be a hair follicle test and a polygraph coming. So he's taking a lie detector test, and he's getting a DNA sample or something of his hair to make sure that he's clean. I guess that's what they do to test. So he's very certain that he's done nothing wrong, as far as at least doing anything. As far as what he had, that could lead him into some trouble. I believe he has a court date next month.
Because he has an active contract, right? A Legends one?
I don't believe so. I don't think he's signed with the... Otherwise, we would have probably heard that he would have been already... His contract would have been, suspended or at least, or terminated. But I have not heard a thing that he is officially with the company.
At least until the results.
Yeah, I would think that if that would have happened, they probably would have already suspended at least the contract for the time being, so that way they wouldn't get any bad publicity. However, again, we do have to wait for the results. Obviously, I believe there is a court date next month about that, and also if he was caught dealing or attempting to deal, I believe I read that it could lead up to 4 years in prison, which is not good. Sean Waltman's currently 46 years old, I believe. He said he's in the best shape of his life. Again, no relapse, he says. So
I don't think he wants to be doing Bronco Busters over there.
We hope. I mean, being I guess an icon at least. I don't know about. Well, I don't know. I guess he's a legend at some point. But I would hope that he meant well. If that was meth, and you're dying over there. I would hope things turn out for the best. You know, kids don't do drugs. Oh, we do not. We do not condone any of this. This was a big story, so we had to cover it. We make sure that. And again, we wish everything. We wish all the best to, you know, however this situation could go. We wish it just goes well. Hopefully, nothing more comes from it. Now we can get into a recap, right? I think we can get into a recap now. 10 minutes into the show, we're in a recap episode. You're good? You're ready for this recap? I think we're gonna have a little more time because I'm just gonna go over Raw and SmackDown, so we could go a little more detailed in this episode. And so, breathe, just breathe. You're good. All right. So the show opened up very interestingly with the Raw Women's Division, which I liked. I thought it was really good, and I thought
way to bring up her height.
Well, her nickname is 5 Feet of Fury, so I mean, they kind of bring it up every week. Alexa Bliss was officially entering the ring and announced for her in-ring coronation ceremony as the new Raw Women's Champion. So on Monday, when we talked about Payback recap, we mentioned that Alexa Bliss made history by not only becoming, the second SmackDown Women's Champion, but she also became the first person to hold the SmackDown Women's Champion and the Raw Women's Championship. Well earned, well deserved. I think she's kind of up there with Charlotte as well. Charlotte's no longer a heel, but she was kind of she's kind of the top heel right now. Now that kind of Charlotte's out there.
I think I'm not too sure. I think the last time this particular type of setting was done, where people are out and there's a red carpet and a little prop was Randy stood on some kind of center and they presented him the bout.
I feel like there was more. There was another one. I feel like there has been a couple since then. I know which one you're talking about, but I feel like there's been a couple. I just don't remember. They don't do them that often. But, it might have been the women's division as well. I feel like, was it AJ Lee that had it?
Oh, the promo?
Well, with the podium too, and I feel like there was another women's one. It might have been Charlotte, actually. Charlotte might have had that. No, you know what? It was. I don't know if they had the podium, but they did have that same setting where they introduced a women's champion, and it was Charlotte. I think it was after WrestleMania when she won the women's championship for the first time. I think they did it then, too, because that was a big deal. She was the first, women's champion of the new era and stuff. But anyways, Bliss went out and addressed some of the women. She thanked Mickie James because she brought her back and said she inspired her. She said that she was from the Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah era. I don't think Mickey's that old. She's happy to see her still here because she said Mae and Moolah were in a better place. But she's happy to have Mickie there. She also thanked Sasha Banks because if it weren't for Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss would not have been the number one contender. So Alexa Bliss was thankful there, and then she ran into Nia Jax, in which she called Nia Jax a very dominant individual. Very, wow. She played it safe with Nia.
Yeah, it was funny. It looks like they're all scared. We're cool.
We're cool. They're cool. They're cool. That's good. And then she got on her podium, her pedestal, her golden pedestal, and then she looked at Bayley and she thanked Bayley because she brought up the fact that she beat her in her own hometown.
Oh man!
In front of her friends and family, and she saw Bayley's nephews crying and bawling in the front row, and said they now have a real role model to look up to, which is. It set off Bayley and led to a big brawl between the women's division there. It led to a women's 8-woman tag team match. Alexa Bliss, Emma, Nia Jax, and Alicia Fox taking on Bayley, Sasha Banks, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke. They gave this match a good amount of time. They gave these women about a good half hour at least of the first. The opener of Monday Night Raw. which is really cool to see. Ultimately, the match ended with Alexa Bliss gouging Bayley's eyes and then hit her with that devastating DDT to get the victory and pin Bayley again for the second night in a row. Alexa Bliss is a force to be reckoned with, to say the least, and I think she's right where she needs to be.
Hopefully the belt stays on her for a while.
I would think at least maybe till SummerSlam or something. But I would love to see Alexa Bliss carry that championship for quite some time. I think she's done a really good job on SmackDown, and I think she's already doing a great job on Monday Night Raw. Next up, so there was a little more aftermath to Payback. In a singles match, it was Luke Gallows taking on Enzo Amore. So Gallows and Anderson wanted some payback, no pun intended, from their previous match, the tag team match that they had with Enzo and Cass on the Payback kickoff show. Ultimately, it was Gallows that ended up picking up the victory after Anderson got a little one up on Enzo by hitting a distraction, and Gallows hit kind of a variation of I don't know what, kind of the boot of doom without hitting the boot part, one of their finishers, and got the pinfall over Enzo. Backstage, some cruiserweight action. Neville was talking about his dirty tactics, about, TJ Perkins questioned Neville actually about his dirty tactics, getting disqualified and such. And then Neville told Perkins if he defeats Aries and makes, a name out of himself there, he would be next in line for a Cruiserweight Championship opportunity. So that's interesting. Also, TJ Perkins is no longer TJ Perkins. They changed his name to TJP.
What?
That's, they officially changed his name to TJP, if you didn't notice on the graphics on Raw, as well as kind of what their commentators were calling him TJP the entire time.
He's just letters?
He's TJP. That's his initials. So, they just cut out the Perkins.
I think the last time someone was known as acronyms was like what, IRS?
IRS, yeah. I feel like there was someone else. But yeah, I believe it might have been IRS. The father of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. Speaking of Bray Wyatt, there's quite a bit to talk about there later on the show, which we will get to. But before that, Seth Rollins, the man, the architect, the King Slayer, came out and discussed his future. Obviously, on Sunday he defeated Samoa Joe. And then he called out Brock Lesnar and demanded a Universal Championship opportunity. Then, are you trying to get movement on?
It froze there.
It froze on. We're frozen on Periscope, ladies and gentlemen. This Wi-Fi today is a little bit dodgy.
Oh yeah.
We're on You Now still. Hello, and is there anyone commenting on You Now? Do people comment? I don't know.
No, it was also freezing there.
Did we also lost?
Yeah,
I guess I moved too much. I must have moved too much, and we lost connection there. We are on YouTube. We are not frozen there. We are on Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, where you can watch us, and of course we are on WPMD Radio, Mondays and Wednesdays, 5 to 6 p.m. Getting back to that, Seth Rollins was discussing his Universal Championship, interest. And then he was interrupted by the leader of the Balor Club, Finn Balor, who reminded Rollins that he never actually lost the Universal Championship and that he too wants a shot, an opportunity at the Universal Championship and the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. However, they were both interrupted by the Intercontinental Champion, Dean Ambrose, who said he was looking for a fight. And then the Miz came out. The A-lister, the it couple with Maurice, came out, said Balor and Rollins had earned nothing and that Ambrose was an embarrassment as an Intercontinental Champion. This kind of continues on their feud from kind of SmackDown Live. It was brought over. So they've been kind of feuding a bit. All three men told the Miz to shut up, which was a pretty funny moment. And then Ambrose called Kurt Angle. Apparently he got Kurt Angle's cell phone number. Who do you think gave Ambrose Kurt Angle's cell phone number?
Oh, he said Foley.
He said Mick Foley, that's right. which Angle apparently wasn't too happy about. And then he ultimately he said that Kurt Angle made a triple threat match between Miz, Rollins, and Balor in the main event to determine a new #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So that was the main event in a really spectacular main event, which we will get to in a little bit. Back to the Cruiserweights. Rich Swann, Akira Tozawa, and Jack Gallagher took on Tony Nese, the Brian Kendrick, and my personal favorite Cruiserweight, Noam Dar. Good match. I really like the Cruiserweights as of late. They've really been delivering some really solid matches. I think the crowd is a little bit more behind them now. Now that they've been established for about the last 6 months or so, I think it's really good.
I think they were announcing a whole lot more matches than usual for 205.
Yeah, I think they've been setting up a lot more. I think the company is finally getting back in the groove for 205 Live. I'm so behind. I'm like 3 months behind on 205 Live, but one of these days I'll catch up. But yeah, they usually have good matches there. I think now that WrestleMania is kind of come and gone, there's more focus on 205 Live, hopefully, and at least the Cruiserweight division. But anyways, Kendrick had Gallagher in the captain's hook, but Tozawa hit Kendrick with a Shining Wizard to break it up. Gallagher then hit Kendrick with a dropkick in the corner, the gentleman's dropkick, as he calls it, to get the victory. And, the faces won. Good for them. Again, that their feuds kind of continued on 205 Live last night. So make sure you check that out on the WWE Network. Moving back to the tag team division. Sheamus and Cesaro came to the ring and blamed the Hardy Boys for taking away their WrestleMania moment. They came out to the ring with new jackets. They were still wearing their kilts, but they're kind of really bad attitude.
It almost reminded me of what's his name? From Natty. Tyson Kidd. Remember when they would have the flags? Only
that's
they're
right.
not wearing each other's flag.
They were wearing on their jackets. They each had a flag of their country that they're from, and as well as their names. I like those cool jackets. They got rid of that kind of the tearaway suits that Cesaro's had for the last year, and Sheamus has been using it lately.
Although I didn't really get to take a good look at the logo. There's only, although they each have their own flag, there's one logo thing that they have the same.
I forgot what it was. I'm sure there's a picture somewhere if we look at it online. But yeah, I liked it. I liked the new look for them, so that's really cool. They cut a very nasty promo. Said they no longer care about what the fans think. Sheamus was only doing it for Cesaro. He said, he was, being nice for Cesaro, but ultimately it was Cesaro that kind of changed his attitude, and Sheamus was happy to see. And they're starting to do this thing now where they raise their thumbs kind of to the side and saying they don't set the bar. I believe they are the bar. I believe that's their catchphrase or something like that.
They're all like, but they don't have the balance.
Exactly. That's the commentators were like, they don't. I think it was Michael Cole that said they don't have the tag team titles, so how can they be the bar if they're not the champions? But Sheamus and Cesaro, as they were heading out, the Hardys came out, dressed in street clothes, and they looked ready for a fight. Though they looked pumped and ready. And Matt Hardy said that they were about to delete them. This was I think the first really adamant kind of time that we got to see the Hardys actually use the delete in a more apparent way, I guess I could say. And they stormed the ring, and Sheamus and Cesaro left, and the Hardy Boys were standing tall in the ring while the heels fled the ring. Next up, Apollo Crews took on Heath Slater. Apollo Crews was accompanied to the ring by Titus O'Neil.
I don't know what they're doing with Titus. Poor Titus.
It's kind of fun. I mean, I find it hilarious at times. I don't know.
I don't know if I read wrong. Is Darren Young cleared now?
I think he's still out of action.
I think he's been medically cleared now.
Has he? I have not read anything about Darren Young. Darren Young sure fell out of... Because when he first began that Make Darren Young Great Again thing, he was the number one contender for the IC title. And since then, he kind of just fell out of nowhere, and then he got injured, obviously. But getting back to this match, nice solid match. Nothing too spectacular, but Apollo Crews defeated Heath Slater with that sit-out powerbomb he does. There's still no name to it. I thought it was called Cruise Control at one point, but I guess not. And just like last week, O'Neal came out and took a post-match selfie with Cruz. However, they were photobombed by the man-beast, Rhino, who came out. He wanted to get in the shot, and you can see that photo on WWE's Instagram account. Maybe on Twitter too, but it's for sure on their Instagram account of the three of them taking a selfie. Then we got to see the Olympic gold medalist, the Raw general manager, Kurt Angle, came out and updated the WWE Universe on Roman Reigns' health following the beatdown at the hands of Braun Strowman. Angle said Reigns re-injured his ribs and suffered internal injuries. Additionally, Strowman tore his rotator cuff, which doesn't... Yeah, I don't know if that's real or not, but that's pretty bad if that actually happened. Angle was then interrupted by the Eater of Worlds, the new face of fear, Bray Wyatt, who told Angle that he needs him and asked him if he was going to walk by his side or stand in his way. Angle then told Wyatt that it was his show, to which Wyatt responded by saying that this was his world.
I know, it was a little bit too cryptic. Like, we couldn't understand what exactly he was referring to when he was.
But we found out a little later in the night in the main event, which we're almost there. Cruiserweight action: Austin Aries versus TJP. I wasn't watching this match too much, so I was kind of more listening to it. But Austin Aries and TJP usually have good matches. I mean, they had one a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure this match, from what I heard, was a solid match. After the match, the finish of the match was TJP going for that detonation kick finish he does. However, it was countered by Aries, and as he hit the last Chancery submission maneuver, getting TJP to tap out. However, after the match, TJP attacked Aries and took out Aries' left knee, leaving him lying in the middle of the ring. So that's not good for Aries there. So something I forgot to mention, but throughout the night, Dean Ambrose interviewed the potential contenders for the IC Championship. So first up, it was actually The Miz, I believe, where The Miz was being interviewed by Charlie Caruso, and then Dean Ambrose took over, and Miz refused to answer any of Dean's questions as Miz walked away. Later on in that night, Ambrose went in to Seth's locker room. Seth seemed just okay taking the interview, but it seemed like there was a little bit of tension there, as they were kind of going back and forth, reminding each other that they beat each other and stuff, and Seth saying he would beat Ambrose again. There seemed to be a little bit of tension between those two. I know, a funny, kind of Shield moment there. And then before the main event, it was Dean Ambrose ran into Finn and kind of walking to the ring and made Finn Balor eat a donut. He said, have some carbs, It was a funny moment. And then we got to see the Drifter, Elias Simpson. He took a bite, yeah. He also tweeted, Finn actually tweeted and put on Instagram, I believe, a picture of him holding that donut with the hashtag too sweet. That donut was too sweet, which is a very funny phrase there. But after Balor left, we got to see Elias Sampson wander by. He appeared in the background, kind of just walking by Ambrose, and then Ambrose asked him if he knew any Pearl Jam or anything. Yeah, and then Elias Sampson just walked through. He's, a drifter. Drifter's just drifting away wherever he goes. I love just the way what they're doing with them. Hopefully we'll get to see him in action soon. But, last week he was, I believe, put on the list of Jericho, right? So, poor Elias Sampson. And then Golden Truth were seen backstage with Kurt Angle. They asked for an opportunity at the Raw Tag Team titles, and Angle said they would be put into a Tag Team Turmoil match next week on Raw to determine the new number one contenders for the Raw Tag Team Championships. So we'll see them there. Now, the main event. A spectacular main event by all three competitors. Balor, Miz, and Rollins really, really did a great job with this match. The Miz kind of started off getting out of the ring, trying to stay out of the way. Typical Miz. Eventually, the pair of Rollins and Balor got him in the ring and kind of got him in the ring, got their payback there.
You have to imagine how many times will Miz be in the Intercontinental scene now.
He's a trustworthy upper mid-carder.
Yeah.
And right now with kind of that upper card being full, you got Balor, Wyatt, Rollins, Joe. It's a pretty stacked upper card. So Miz it fits perfectly there. So there was a good false finishes. Balor hit Rollins with the 1916. There was a basement drop kick with the Miz there, followed by a DDT. There was a figure four leg lock. Rollins hit a double blockbuster on them and then hit a frog splash on Balor, only getting a 2 count. Rollins then hit Miz with the top rope suplex, followed by the Falcon Arrow, again a 2 count. And as they exited the ring, Samoa Joe came out of nowhere and hit a Uranagi on Seth Rollins, taking him out of the match. And then as Miz was distracted by that, Balor hit a drop kick to the corner and was about to hit a coup de grace before the lights went out, and Bray Wyatt teleported to the ring and hit Balor with a Sister Abigail, allowing Miz to cover and hit the victory, becoming the new number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. Storylines building here. The feud of Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins continues, and the feud of Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor begins. And we get to see a continuation of Dean Ambrose versus The Miz. Again, The Miz is doing his best work he's ever done the last 10 years he's been here, so I think this is really good for them. Really cool to see a solid episode of Monday Night Raw. Your thoughts on the overall show?
Bray Wyatt takes the show.
You think Bray would take the show?
I know. I think the biggest moment is probably that Angle segment with him.
Yeah, that was interesting. It kind of foreshadowed what was going to happen at the end of the night. For sure, the main event, I think, made the show for me. I think it was a really solid episode, and that was really encapsulated by that ending. Funny moment after the show. So there was a fan video after the show. Miz and Ambrose were kind of talking in the ring. Obviously, champion and challenger there. And you got to see Bray Wyatt's kind of from, I guess, the ringside or under the ring, because he went under the ring, I guess. You see him leave the ring and then look at Miz and Ambrose, and then run away. You see him run to the back. And Miz, I believe, said, I've always wondered how they did that. So it was a funny moment. This is a video I think you can look up of that happening. It's very funny. Bray just scurrying away after the show. It's pretty cool. Now, let's get into our SmackDown Live results, shall we?
I think the funniest moment definitely was the Fashion Police.
We're gonna get to that. It's my highlight of the night. The show opened up with Shane McMahon welcoming and introducing the GOAT, Chris Jericho, to SmackDown Live. He talked about how Jericho is defending the U.S. Championship against Kevin Owens. And then AJ Styles came out. Styles kind of mentioning how Jericho and him were partners and how they had some unfinished business with their feud, and said that if Jericho were to retain, he would take Jericho's title at Backlash, in which Jericho says Jericho was about to put Styles on the list before he was interrupted by Kevin Owens and said the Festival of Friendship was nothing to what he was going to do to Jericho tonight. He then hasn't forgotten about Styles, and then they brawled. Styles and Owens brawled on the ramp until officials broke it up. The opening contest of the night, Jinder Mahal taking on Sami Zayn. So there was a segment earlier in the show, and I think to open up the show, where Mahal was taking the photos with the WWE Championship, in which Shane McMahon actually took back the title and gave it to his rightful owner, Randy Orton, who was not on SmackDown actually last night. So I guess he's still feeling the effects of the House of Horror match, right? Anyways, the match between Mahal and Sami Zayn kind of ended when the Singh brothers got involved and Mahal pinned Zayn after hitting that Cobra Clutch slam to get the victory. So Mahal is getting that push there. Next up, the Perfect 10 took on the artiste Aiden English. Aiden English, spectacular voice.
I don't understand that backstage.
It was hilarious. We're going to get to that. But it was hilarious. Aiden English, spectacular voice. I believe he used to be on Broadway, if I'm not mistaken. Spectacular voice. However, he was interrupted by the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, in a relatively quick match. Dillinger hit a variation of his finisher, the tiebreaker, to get the victory. Instead of kind of flipping him over like a attitude adjustment, he did kind of a sidewalk slam a bit. Finished there. After the match, however, English started to cry.
After seeing that, I keep wanting to see that Christian taunt when he'd be like laying down and throwing a tantrum all over the freaking mat.
Yeah, but backstage, we got to see Jericho being interviewed by Ronnie, as he calls her, who is Renee Young. And Jericho's not good with interviewers' names. But then he saw Aiden English crying, and he said, he tried to cheer him up. Jericho, with his very calm and soothing voice, he told him not to cry. He said, he's an artist. He's Aiden English. He's got a cool, he's got chest hair, and he's works for the company. He's good, and he kind of cheered up Aiden English. He was about to get cheered, and then he said, you know what happens when you cry.
Wow.
Rob, do you know what happens when you cry?
Making the list, wow.
He put Aiden English on the list, which Aiden English, again, wasn't too happy about. And then he looked at Renee Young and said, Ronnie, you're on the list too. And put her on the list as well.
Wow.
And she looked a bit distraught as well. Poor Aiden English. He just, it wasn't his night. I feel bad for him. Hopefully we'll get to see more of Aiden English in the future.
I can only imagine, though, will he cry if he wins a belt?
I'm sure it would be happy tears.
Joy.
I think it would be happy tears if he does cry. But I like this Aiden English, new and improved. He went back to his original NXT gimmick before the Vaudevillains. Hopefully we'll get to see some victories. Hopefully he isn't just losing. But then we get to see, so the welcoming committee, as they're called, approached Becky Lynch and invited them again, rehashed kind of what they said last week and invited Becky Lynch to their group.
Has she had that attire before?
It might have been a WrestleMania attire.
I was kind of hoping for a heel turn.
Yeah, which you didn't see. But then we got to see Charlotte doing a very babyface interview. Was then attacked by the welcoming committee right before the match. So it ended up being Carmella and Natalya taking on Naomi and what was supposed to be Charlotte Flair. So for about half the match, it was kind of Naomi on her own. And as the heels were getting, taking down Naomi, Charlotte Flair came out and ultimately...
This is a new one for us.
What happened?
So the username is the cigarette police, right?
The cigarette police.
Then it says, better not be any cigarette smoking going on here.
No, we are in a studio. There's absolutely no smoking here inside the studio, the WPMD studio. What studio is this? Is Studio B or
I think
is
so.
it titled like that? We should always name what studio we are in. But no, there is absolutely no smoking. I do not condone smoking. I do not appreciate that smell. Thank you for Cigarette Police for tuning in.
Yes.
But
So we'll talk about Fashion Police too.
oh, we're getting there. We're getting close. We're getting close. I got about a 10-minute rant to talk about. Not really, but I could talk about them all day. But anyways, the match. The heels picked up the victory over the champion, Naomi and Charlotte, the challenge, I guess the former number one contender. After the match, they were beating up Naomi and Charlotte. Then we got to see Becky Lynch come out. She teased teaming up with the welcoming committee, and she shook everyone's hand, and she wanted to reach in for a hug for James Ellsworth. Because, they had a little bit of thing there.
It was pretty hilarious. Didn't they say something about it was nice to meet you four ladies, including him
She
as
said
a
it
lady?
was. She said, "It's nice to see you four ladies, including poor James Ellsworth." But James Ellsworth was the reason that the heels got the victory. The welcoming committee got the victory, and then we got to see Becky Lynch kind of attack them, try to get one over on them. Unfortunately, the numbers game was too strong for her, and the welcoming committee left. The welcoming committee left the trio lying on the mat. Then we got to see Dolph Ziggler take on Sin Cara. So early in the night, it was revealed that Shinsuke Nakamura was not on SmackDown. So we were missing quite a few names there. Randy Orton, Shinsuke. AJ Styles didn't have a match. Baron Corbin was suspended after his attack on Talking Smack from attacking Sami Zayn last week. So we missed SmackDown missed quite a few names, but it was still a solid show nonetheless. Dolph Ziggler defeated Sin Cara after a good back and forth action. He hit a super kick out of nowhere and got the victory there.
I would have thought that if they were going to introduce the new attire, it'd be on the day he wins.
I mean...
Not even an entrance.
No, I mean, it's Sin Cara. I mean...
But they took away what made him special, too. Like,
what was that?
The lights. The
lights
dark
were very
room.
distracting.
That was part of
that
his
was more of
unique
the
gimmick.
old Sin Cara, though. That was
I
like the
know.
original Sin Cara.
But supposedly, this new attire glows in the dark, too.
Oh, it does it. Wow.
Yeah.
They probably didn't want to do it because Naomi has her kind of thing, and
Because there's a post. There's a post of his new attire when they announced it, and they say glow in the dark.
yeah, I mean they're probably just doing that for live events. Maybe in the future we'll see it very soon, but not yet. I think
He wasn't feeling no glow. It was more like a super kick.
no, he felt the super kick straight to the head, and he was knocked out. Now.
Wow.
Now we can get to my favorite segment of the entire show, perhaps the entire week.
It's nice
Breezango.
to see that they had the frame photo right there, paying honor.
They had the Fashion Police had their own. Breezango had their own show, titled "The Fashion Files." They had the kind of Law and Order-esque intro. They even did the dun dun. You heard Breezango do that. Then you saw. So I'm going to try to do a step-by-step here. Tyler Breeze was typing on this old typewriter. He was finishing up paperwork from the Ascension of last week, saying, the captain's not going to be happy that, they're taking forever to get it done. Then we got to see Fandango come out, with his hat, his police hat, and bring in the paperwork from the Usos, in which Tyler Breeze called the Uggos, which was his old gimmick there, his kind of rehashing the old Tyler Breeze male model, supermodel gimmick, which I miss, but I'm glad that they're at least doing something with the Fashion Police now. He said that the Uggos, and then they were listing a bunch of different laws the Uggos were breaking. I believe it was like...
Identity.
They're twins, so there was identity theft. I believe there was disorderly conduct for doing their dance. They used to do the dance. They were doing kind of, I don't know. There was a list of a couple things that they kept naming, and it was hilarious. Then they said Backlash. I don't remember the exact date, but Backlash that they were gonna officially charge them, and Tyler Breeze posted it on the wall, and they walked away, and it ended with the kind of the Fashion Files logo.
I think it's Pat Patterson's photo on there.
Was it Pat Patterson?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I didn't catch everything.
Yeah,
that was
his frame
behind.
photo was right on the desk.
Oh, he was probably the captain or something. That was funny. I don't know. It was a great segment. I'm glad they're doing something with the Fashion Police. Hopefully they get a run with the tag team titles because I think they're great. I love Breezango.
And then they have to leave because they're giving a ticket when the walkie comes on.
That's right. They were on the phone. Was that Pat Patterson or was it?
Probably.
I feel like it might have been because it could have been.
The ticket that they have a issue that they have to go attend. Someone's wearing socks with sandals.
That's right. I forgot about that, but that's right. There was someone with socks and sandals, and like they never learned, you know. Great. Can we just have their own show on the network, please? Just give them a 30-minute, 1 hour, entire show of them just doing great. They were great on Southpaw Regional Wrestling. I don't know if you saw that. You remember that?
Oh, I just
Let's
remember that one episode thing.
Well, there was 4 episodes. You can find them online. But Chetterfield, I believe, was his name. Was Fandango. He was a drunk. What is it? The broadcaster. What do they call him? The
Play-by-play announcer?
No, he was not the play-by-play. It was he was like next to John Cena's. He was like a broadcaster there, but he was drunk the entire time and would slur words and everything. And then Tyler Breeze was the banker. He was a heel, and he released his kind of. He was a manager to Sea Creature, and they were great there. And you know they're great in pretty much anything they give them to do. So really cool to give them their own segment. And what was a great match between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho in the main event for the United States Championship. Kevin Owens ultimately hit a couple of pop-up power bombs to get the victory and become a 2-time United States champion.
I was expecting a little more of a cheating tactic type of closing than just power bomb.
I think it was definitely, it made Owens look strong. And, you know, I think we're kind of done seeing cheater Owens. That was kind of what he was doing with Jericho. I think we're going to see now dominant heel Owens. And I like that. After the match, however, you know, Jericho looked pretty messed up because he hit his head on the outside. Owens hit another pop-up powerbomb. And he tried to hit another, but Jericho collapsed. And as he was leaving, he came back and Jericho, he ran Jericho, his head in the chair, and then ran him against the ring post, and that looked nasty. It looks like Jericho is officially written off for the time being.
Be back for quite some time.
He's going on tour with Fozzy starting this weekend. By the way, their new single, Judas, came out last night. At least the music video, the actual song comes out on Friday. Great song. And it is the official theme song, one of the official theme songs for NXT TakeOver Chicago, which is happening, so good for them. But yeah, this run with Jericho has been spectacular. Many are saying his best run ever. And, you know, at 46 years old, Jericho is still, he still looks like he's in the prime of his career. I mean, which you don't see very often. So, Jericho, thank you. I don't know when we'll see you. I mean, he could be back very soon. I don't know if he's going to be gone for very long. But what a great run.
August, September, October. I mean, how great would it be though if he could do the Survivor Series?
I feel like he'll do SummerSlam. I feel like he'll be back by then. Because I don't think the tour is very long. Unless our obviously an album is...
Because that's always nice whenever Survivor Series comes and they're like, oh, just wait, we have our last member. But you won't know who it is until...
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a recap. So I was thinking about possibly... Have we ever done a highlight reel on Jericho?
don't believe so.
I think it would be cool to do a highlight reel on Jericho, maybe on the next episode. You know, we used to do the highlight reel weekly on, well, back when we only had like one episode a week, right?
Yeah.
Back our first season, we had one episode a week. And we would do
4 more episodes to go.
We have, we have 2 weeks left. We have 4 more episodes to go. I think we could do maybe a highlight reel on Jericho. Maybe, you know,
Get to 44.
we're going to get to 44. But I mentioned doing commentary. Maybe we do a commentary for a Jericho match next week or something. He has a number of matches that we could get to, but we'll discuss it off air. We've got a couple more minutes. What are your thoughts on the current WWE programming? Storylines, what are your favorite? Maybe.
I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen with the club, Anderson and Gallows. If they're not going to have them be yet with... Maybe it's a thing where Bray's going to, beat up Balor, and it's going to lead to him needing Anderson and Gallows.
It would be interesting, but I would think Wyatt would maybe need the Wyatt family now.
Well, when he sees that the numbers are against him.
Perhaps, but see, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are on SmackDown. I don't think they're going to have Braun join the family again.
Yeah, and then, like I said, the Shield members are on the same show. They're all faces. But there's no faction yet to pose a threat yet. There needs to be a faction.
I'm thinking Braun Strowman is definitely one. But who else? Do you think he would reunite with Bray, perhaps after this feud with Balor? Maybe Bray?
But then they would need one more person.
Or perhaps it would be Strowman, Miz, and Joe. Because that's who they're feuding with right now. Joe is feuding with Rollins and Miz is feuding with Ambrose.
Miz would look like the weak link in the group.
I mean, they would just have to make it a way where he isn't a weak link. I mean, Strowman alone is just gonna be dominant. I mean, it could work at least just for one time, kind of. Like I said, SummerSlam kind of match, a one time.
I mean, when they put a belt on Strowman, he's gonna look like a little toy.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, Strowman is rumored to be the next number 1 contender, I believe, for the Universal title at the Raw exclusive pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire.
When the Hardys, if they turn broken, and if they stay in the title scene, they'll need a bigger team that'll pose a threat to them as well. You would think by the time a faction comes in, something's gonna happen.
You have the Revival. Remember, they're one of the best teams today. They put on spectacular matches. Watch any of their NXT TakeOver matches, and they put on a show with anyone. American Alpha, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, the Authors of Pain. I mean, all those teams are spectacular, but the Revival are able to put a really solid match with them.
It'd be something to see when they'll put Shane again. What pay-per-view will it take for Shane to come back in the ring again?
SummerSlam, Survivors. It's going to be one of the big 4 pay-per-view. However, I don't see him feuding with anyone. Maybe not until next WrestleMania.
And it's something how there's still talk that Daniel Bryan, he's going to let his contract expire.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to compete somewhere else.
Yep, that's what he wants. He was not on SmackDown this past week. But yeah, there's definitely been talk about that. So, anyways, I think it's just about time to sign off. I'd say next week we go a little old school. We bring back a little bit of some of the things we did in our first season, as well as kind of mix it in with our second season stuff. Until next time, you can check us out on Facebook.com/BeyondTheRopes. We are on YouNow every Monday, Wednesday around 11 a.m. with the hashtag #ask_questions. We are usually on Periscope, search up Norwalk. We are on Rob's SoundCloud, Rob Flores. We are on WPMD Radio for the next couple of weeks left. 5 to 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday. And until next time, I'm Ethan.
Rob.
And this episode has just been too
Sweet.